Quick follow-up. Secretary Austin said from Jordan yesterday that the fall of Bakhmut is not going to change the course of the war. Can you comment on this? I mean, are you guys now prepared that Bakhmut all but has fallen?
I'm not prepared to offer that assessment. Of course, our Ukrainian partners in the first instance are going to have the best tactical battlefield update. Our colleagues at the Department of Defense may speak to that as well. But the sentiment that Secretary Austin was putting forward is exactly right, as you might expect. This is a conflict a war, an invasion, I should say, whose contours were set in place on February 24th, February 25th, and the days that followed of last year. It was very clear from the earliest hours of Russia's invasion of Ukraine that whenever this ended, it would end in a strategic failure for Russia. That's because the Ukrainians made very clear in the earliest hours of this conflict that the goals that President Putin sought to pursue, the fall of Ukraine, the fall of its government, the subjugation of its people, the erasure of its identity, essentially the subjugation of the country itself would not be in the cards. And so, yes, we have been very clear that there are going to be tough days ahead. Fighting, while it has lulled somewhat during the winter months, it has continued to rage, especially in the east, especially in the south. There have been incremental gains by both sides. We expect that dynamic to continue. The only reason a town like Bakhmut, which I believe, as Secretary Austin said, holds very little strategic import, is in the news, is in the headlines, is because the Russians have nothing else to point to over the course of more than 12 months of a brutal invasion, of their own brutal aggression. Were the Russians had they had any sort of success in this effort, the fall or the fact that a place like Bakhmut is being contested wouldn't even register halfway around the world. The fact that it is, the fact that people are focused on it is because the Russians have nothing to point to during the course of their 12 months of brutal aggression against Ukrainians. The Ukrainians are, as they have across the country, making a valiant effort. The broader strategic tide of this invasion, we think, is set in stone. This will be a strategic failure for Russia. The Ukrainians have demonstrated that they are in a position not only to withstand advancing Russian forces, but to take back territory that has been wrested away from them. That won't change. Jenny.
Thank you.